our way. A little bit of G-force here. Oh my God. Beautiful view of Port Long Beach here. Oh man, we're having a good time here, man. What's up, Sergio? How you doing?
What's up?
What's up, guys? It's PK here. So we're back out here with Serge, streets of Long Beach, or ports of Long Beach, I would say. Let's just say I'm pumped right now. We're not gonna show no speed, nothing. You know, we're driving safely and calmly, but man, this thing pulls. I'm gonna go back to the original spot that we were last time. Today's video is gonna be an update of Serge and what he's done. It's been about 1 year or so. If you guys haven't checked out the first few videos, I'll make sure to link it here and check those out just so you guys kind of get a backstory. So it's full bolt-on, tuned on E50. He's big turbo. He's now ported head compared to before, and he's no cams yet. You have done springs though, right? Valves?
Yeah, FBO valves and springs.
Yeah.
Retainers.
So I'll let him get into the details a little bit more. A little bit on the edge, but it's a good on the edge. And just look at the sight, guys. You got ports out here. I didn't want to put the window down because I don't know if there's any wind here. So excuse me if there's a little bit of wind noise, but I'll let you guys enjoy the view for a minute. Quick rundown. What have you done since the last time we recorded?
So since the last time we recorded, it's been a while, so I apologize for the delay, but we basically built the head. So we were at that limit, you know, with the stock head kind of being the restriction. So we had JSR engines basically give me a race port to kind of really show off their work, and we did FBO valve springs, FBO valves, and then a race port on the head. So those small changes, and then a J8 Pro Seal head gasket with ARP 625 plus you know, extreme duty studs with the upgraded 14mm nuts to about 110 foot-pounds, was able to do 600 wheel. So 32.5 miles basically. I am on 2000s, so that's one of the big things I think fuel-wise that we're gonna really show that you need for high RPM. On 2000s, the power is still going all the way to about 550 wheel, around 7,800 RPM. So I'm basically carrying as much power as I was making before, but much later. And then obviously from 555, 560 to 600 wheel now with the ported head at our boost level. So basically, you know, 50 to 70 wheel horsepower gains across the board. So I can't thank Jake enough for the head port, because you can see on the same boost level, same turbo, same cams, just massive amounts of mid-range and top-end power all the way across the board. So you know, that's pretty much.
Now being in the car, I understand what he means by having the torque shifted to the right at the higher RPMs. Like, honestly, I think my car spins out a lot more than yours does. I know you got better tires than me, but it's just crazy how he doesn't spin out at all. And I think it just has to do with the fact that your torque is shifted to the right, and it allows you to just grip at a higher speed, right?
Yeah, I mean, you spend less time with a massive torque request at 3,000, you know, which is going to overload the front tires, unfortunately, and we are front wheel drive, so there are some caveats. So by moving the torque to the right, you get obviously more mid-range and top-end power, which for a front wheel drive car just makes more sense, because at the higher speeds that we're rolling, having that torque come on later just allows us to stay in the power without overloading the tire. And again, we talked about that last time, right? Like the torque request down low, I'm making more torque than I've ever made before, you know, yeah. A peak of 490 at 6,000. So it's a lot of torque, you know, and like last time I said, we kept the torque low before because we didn't want to, you know, obviously stress the motor too much. Yeah. I've been dedicated to really showing what the RV6 can do. So obviously we got a little spicy on this tune, and we really wanted to do a full send as much as we can. So we are on the studs and the upgraded nuts and the hardware. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend this for like a completely stock motor. You could do it if you want to. Again, I'm not going to stop anybody, but if you look at my dynos I have in the car, you know, you're going to see that as we added timing, the torque just kept going higher and higher. Yeah. Unfortunately, to get that power on the top end, we just kept adding timing, and the power just kept coming. Yeah. So it's spicy.
That's why I'm promoting to watch the previous videos so you guys can get a better idea. But per his latest dyno chart, It's cute how he has a whole folder and everything.
Well, you can see my previous numbers here on this sweep, and this was about 450-ish torque, and we were able to kind of keep that, you know, pretty good 436 or so. And you can see the motor is great. I mean, it's making good power. You can see kind of where the head and the cams fall off, and the power just trails off. And by porting the head, the turbo comes on sooner. You can see where is that? Right at 4,400 is where I have the about 32 pounds hitting. And then as we hold that boost in RPM, the torque rises to 490-ish, you know, up here pretty close at 6,000, and then holds and holds and holds it. So I never really lose too much torque up top, but you can see the blue line is horsepower, and you can see all this power through the low and mid-range, just 50 to 70 wheel across the board.
Yeah, feel that first pull, which is that first wave there, and then there's a second kick, which is that second wave between 5,000 and 5,800. You just feel that second end. And it's just crazy how it holds the power for so long, from 6K to almost, you know, 76. And you said you could go up to...
Yeah, I'm gonna go to 8,200. We're holding power all the way to 7,800. It's still making about 550 or so up top.
Yeah, because even right there, even though the...
Yeah, we cut it off at 76 right here.
Sorry about the shadow, but
yeah,
even if you could tell here, he's still 550, which, yeah, 600 to 550, that's 50 horsepower, but you're still at 550.
Even at shifting at 76, you're going to fall back into about 56. So you can see even when I shift at red line, it falls right back into the fat part of the band.
Yeah.
So it maintains that top end the whole time.
Yeah, so you're pretty much always at peak power. And
a race port is going to allow you to maybe add a couple more degrees no matter what octane you're running. So on pump, you should be able to get away with maybe 1 or 2, maybe even 3 degrees more timing. And then on this race port at 25, we're not even at the edge of timing yet. We could probably run 28, 30 degrees of timing.
Yeah.
But again, on this E50 setup, I'm happy, and we're not even done yet. We add the cams, you know, timing, it made more torque. So I was like, this is spicy enough at 490. I think we're good on a stock bottom end. You know, we're not really trying to mess anything up. I'm still trying to highlight the R660.
Yeah.
You know, it is my daily driver, so I'm trying to keep it, you know, somewhat consistent and reliable. So
compared to my Type R on Twitch Springs, it feels like a Cadillac. It's just super comfortable. It's a cruiser. We went through the shitty potholes of my city, and he went through them like nothing. So it's just awesome, man, how much power you're pushing, how reliable it is. Now, I won't say he hasn't had issues, so I know there was a minute, right, where
I do beat on this car. You're with me when I beat on it. I'm not gentle on it. I don't abuse it, but I obviously use.
It's not every single red light.
No, exactly. There's a time and a place for everything. And when I do, you know, get on it, obviously there's going to be possibly heat issues and things like that. And one of the things that I found with this car is our stock head gasket isn't the best. You know, obviously the 1.5 guys already know their gasket isn't that great, right? So it's not that we have the same issues as them at that power level, but again, you will reach a threshold, even with the Type R, that eventually you get to the threshold of heat and power that's going to overwhelm the stock gasket. It's a $58 gasket. It's not a high-end gasket, right? So one of the reasons why I went to the JE Pro Seal was because I didn't want any future issues. So I ended up, I think either I lifted the head or I just cooked the stock head gasket with heat. And so when that happened, the car still ran fine. I still was able to drive it everywhere. It wasn't like a failure, but obviously it was a few little high-end misfires and stuff like that I didn't want to push. So I was having to wait for the JE Pro Seal gasket to get there, which is kind of annoying, inconvenience mostly. And that's why I tell guys in the forums, like, look, if you can, get the Pro Seal gasket now. Even if you don't need it, just get a gasket so that when the time comes that you're ready to upgrade, put the studs on and upgrade it, you'll have it in hand and you won't have to wait for it. Because the last thing you want to do is be waiting a month or 2 or 3 months on a back-ordered JE Pro Seal. You can use other gaskets. That's fine. But again, you'll probably run into the same issues. So if you're going to do it, I would say John's made 842 wheel on this head gasket. So I have the utmost faith that it's bomb-proof. You know, it doesn't mean the tuner can be bad, but at the end of the day, in terms of like
mechanical point of view, the gasket's
mechanical reliability, the heat issues that we have, it's an FK8. We have heat issues, and I recognize that. I'm on a stock radiator. I'm on a 2020 plus setup, but obviously I still have a stock radiator, stock cooling, stock trans, stock everything. So I'm on a thicker weight oil. I'm on a 530. So I will also recommend that for, you know, if you're upgrading the turbo and you are putting some heat in the motor with this power, you upgrade to a 530. You know, I use Mobile One. You guys, you know, use Torco or whatever you guys use. But a 530 weight is, I think, a good weight.
Yeah, and even me, because I'm running E85, I'm not running the stock oil no more either. I'm running thicker oil. It doesn't hurt. Obviously, you've been doing it for how many miles?
So I've been over 500 wheel for at least 15,000 miles, and I've been on a 530 for all that time. So, you know, from the 0-20 weight, even when I went just flex, when I went flex, I went to a 530.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, so just because, 400 torque, 400 wheel, again, the stock turbo heats fast because it's small.
Yeah.
So it gets hot fast. The car heats fast. That's one of the reasons why the RV6 is better with the hot side being so big is less back pressure, less heat issues, bigger coolant lines. So you're still going to have heat issues. That's an FK8. But again, thicker oil, it helps quite a bit, and then that hot side.
Yeah.
But I'm really impressed with the turbo.
Yeah, me too, man. It's just ridiculous how it just pulls and pulls. And
when you stress stock components that weren't designed for double the power, I mean, you can't fault Honda for that. I'm crazy. Most guys aren't going to do this. And I get that.
And I know like the older, like the K20, K24s, they can handle a lot more than the current one. It's just I feel like we haven't figured it out yet. Like, sure, you got to use Motec, but with the stock issue, we still haven't figured out how to make 1,000 horsepower so easily and stuff.
Well, and that's just direct injection, and really the limitations of that, because we don't have the pumps capable of enough, and so eventually I think there will be. I think there will be. You can get there with Motec and port injection for sure. Anything past about 750 wheel, I think, is going to need a port injection kind of setup.
Yeah. At
the moment, again, we haven't really delved into the bigger pumps just yet, so we may go to that bigger XDI and see 800, 850 on DI only. That would make me very happy. So I have the XDI. There's two versions of the XDI. Most of us have the small one. They do offer a larger one that's about $2,500. I haven't seen too many guys use it just yet, because again, this one's supporting 720 wheel, so we haven't found that like limit yet of it. And then the RPM, 8,300 is about where they say metal to metal contact or increased wear. Some guys have said or claimed that they've gone higher on it, and I believe them. But it's one of those issues like, okay, like anything, is it worth it? You'll run out of a pump faster, you'll wear it faster.
Yeah.
If you want that power and you want that RPM, then your race team, you're gonna do it because it's like a wear item. You're gonna run through it and throw a new one on and just go on with your day. For me, daily driver, I think 8,200 on a stock bottom end is about where I'm gonna call it a day, and then the pump should be fine at that RPM level. It hasn't given us any issue. I'm at 32% duty cycle, so we have about another 6% fuel left in the system I'm running now, and that's before I'm going to run the JSR upgrade on the low pressure side, which is a Hellcat pump, 6AN fuel line. That's going to give me an additional 10% more fuel. So once I have that in the car, that's going to give me about 16% more fuel. So when the cams come, I'll be able to feed them no matter pretty much whatever power we make. I'm thinking 30 wheel, on a conservative side. I'm hoping for 30, 40 wheel. So we should see 630, 640 if the turbo can support it, and that's why our testing is what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
So the RV6 guys are like, okay, we know 600 is possible on a stock, a ported head on stock cams. Where are we going to get with the cams? And that's where I think I told the guys on the forums, we're going to separate the men from the boys on the high RPM side, because the back pressure issues kind of rear their head around 7,000. So from 7 to 82. That's where you're going to see the major differences between a P600, P700 versus the RV6. A lot of people are like, oh, well, what's the difference? They're both making similar power, yada yada, because of the testing that they did on a built motor, and that's great, 35 pounds. But if we can make similar power on 32.5 on a stock bottom end, on off-the-shelf components, Honda, not Motec, I think that gives the guys like us, street guys, daily driver guys, some hope that you don't have to go with a big dollar ECU. You don't have to go with some crazy setup. You can go with a stock motor, just obviously thoughtful mods, right? A kind of preventative maintenance to handle the torque that we're making, the dynamic compression that we're making with 490 torque. That's kind of the stuff that lifts head gaskets. So, when you prepare for the power that you want to make, you should have no issues. And that's one of the things. It's like I had issues because again we didn't know we were going to make that kind of power, and that torque eventually would lift our head. Not too many guys have been at this level, at this RPM especially. So that's one of the things where I'm happy to report back, because I'm on the other side of this wall and I'm like, hey guys, like everything's good, like you can come do this, and that gives guys more confidence and saying, okay, well, if Serge can do it, then I can too, you know. And that's been my thing, because 580 was the goal. We're at 600 now, and again, I'm still pushing. Why? Because I really want that old school VTEC power, where, you know, high RPM, 8,000 plus, you know, kind of pull. It pulls like a monster, so I can't say it doesn't.
Yeah, it pulls like a monster. It got crazy grip. It's just amazing, man. Well, really appreciate it. So the next thing you're gonna do is, like you mentioned, was the fuel system, the fuel lines, and
one of the major things in terms of like the issues that I have had with running ethanol, especially in SoCal. I can't speak for East Coast or whatever, but here in SoCal, a lot of the guys that have run ethanol, we've run into a fuel quality issue where the stock pump kind of breaks down on the ethanol that we're having at the pump. We're getting like little bits of paper from the OEM filter, and then the glue, as that kind of like goes into your fuel system, it goes forward. And so at the very least, run a fuel filter somewhere like in the engine bay or inline so that you can catch that stuff. I lost an injector last year, remember? So that was one of the things. I had to buy a new set of injectors. So don't make that mistake, right? If you are running E, even if you're on bolt-ons, preventative maintenance, one little filter, you know, whatever, inline will prevent losing a high pressure fuel pump. XDI doesn't have a filter. The Honda does, has a little screen, so it will catch some of that stuff. But again, preventative maintenance, just be sure to do that filtering at least. This comes with a huge filter, a huge regulator, a Hellcat pump. I'm on a Deutschwerks 300C right now, but the Hellcat I think is like a 525, 535 liter per hour pump. So it's going to be able to support a lot more fuel flow. So from the reports that I've gotten from the guys who've upgraded, what ends up feeling is like in the mid-range where the fuel pump demand is really high, especially down low where that torque comes on, that's where the request for the fuel really is like, it jumps up. And some of the smaller fuel pumps have trouble keeping up. So now they said it doesn't feel starved. So down low, it just feels smoother, cleaner. It feels like just more powerful because the fuel is there when the demand comes.
Yeah.
The fuel is there to fuel it, and that's a big thing for me, as well as eliminating the OEM fuel filter, the OEM little tiny plastic regulator that's in that intake pump. You get rid of a lot of restrictions. You get rid of that headache and that potential of, oh my God, is my filter going to break down and send crap to my injectors? So I delete all of that stuff. It's peace of mind as well as additional capability.
Yeah.
And you know, the Deutschwerks, the AEM, a lot of guys have overheated them. Road trips, you know, you're 100, 200 miles from home, and all of a sudden your fuel pump conks out.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those issues. It's peace of mind. Running a filter is probably number one.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what you're running, just run that extra filter to save yourself, your motor, your high pressure pump from debris and stuff from that OEM paper filter. That's what I say.
Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe for more Type R content, SoCal content, Sergio content. But yeah, guys, catch you guys next time.